I'm Nate. I thought I was doing all right in life. Marriage, kids, a house, a steady job. But everything started falling apart when I turned 40. The divorce came first about 2 years ago. It was ugly, and my ex-wife won't even let me see the kids anymore. Then last year I lost my job. Now I do gig work, scraping by each month. These days I'm stuck sharing a flat with strangers. I never imagined I'd be living like this at my age, crammed into a single room with no privacy and no future worth thinking about. And then came the call. A lawyer told me a distant relative I'd never even heard of had died, and somehow I was the last one left in the bloodline, which meant I'd inherited his house. Of course, I thought it was a scam. I'd only ever seen things like this in films, but the paperwork was real. A solicitor, an address, everything checked out, and I thought, why the hell not? It's not like I had anything going for me here anyway. I was alone, miserable, stuck in this hellhole of a city. I could use a fresh start, so I sold what little I had and used the last of my savings to move in. The house was about 2 hours outside the city, surrounded by trees and overgrown fields. It was big, 2 floors, stone walls, a steep roof, old but well kept. You could tell someone had lived there and taken good care of it until recently. I didn't feel excited or anything, just numb, I guess. But I appreciated the quiet. The first couple of days I cleaned and unpacked, trying to make the place feel like mine. One afternoon, I went up to the attic to see what was left behind. Nothing out of the ordinary, just boxes and old furniture. But then I noticed something tucked behind it all. I made my way back there and found this antique gilt mirror, old and worn, covered in dust, like it had been sitting there for decades. I was strangely drawn to it, so I brought it down, gave it a good wipe, and hung it on the hallway. It was about a month after moving in. I was walking past the mirror on my way to the kitchen one night when something caught my eye. The reflection looked off. It didn't look anything like my living room. I turned back to look behind me, but it looked normal. When I looked at the mirror again, it was the same as always. Then the next night, the same exact thing happened. At first glance, the mirror shows something that's not my living room, but as soon as I look away and back again, it's gone. The third time it happened, I didn't look away. I just stood there, staring into the mirror. It was my living room, same walls, same layout, but everything looked different. The furniture was old-fashioned, heavy wood, patterned fabric, an oil lamp flickering on the table. For some reason, I wasn't scared, just fascinated. The next morning, I went back up to the attic. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe some clue about the mirror, some kind of explanation. Inside one of the boxes, I found a stack of old photos. The first few showed the house being built, then a few more from when it was finished. The garden, the hallway, different rooms. And then one caught my eye. It was the living room, exactly how I'd seen it in the mirror. At the bottom, there was a date written in pencil, October 1846. That's when I realized the mirror was showing this house from the past. That night after dark, I stood in front of the mirror and waited. I waited for a while, but nothing happened. Eventually, I gave up and turned to walk away. But just before I did, I glanced back one last time, and the reflection had changed. This time, it was different. There was a woman. She was young and beautiful, but sickly pale, sitting in one of the armchairs, her hands resting on her lap, her head tilted slightly down, like she didn't have the strength to lift it. I should have been scared, but I wasn't. I just watched her, completely mesmerized. After that, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I know it's strange to say, but it felt like love at first sight. So every night I'd stand in front of the mirror and wait, and every night she was there. Then I started to see other people in the mirror. They seemed like her family, but the way they spoke to her was cold and cruel. They'd mock her, shove her, treat her like she was nothing. Once I even saw one of them slap her. She didn't fight back. It made me sick. The more I watched, the angrier I got. She was alone and miserable, with no way out, no one to protect her. I wanted to reach through the glass, pull her out, do something. Then one night she looked up, and she looked right at me. She saw me. There was something in her eyes I couldn't forget. Sadness, but also hatred. When she was alone, I'd stay by the mirror and talk to her. Oftentimes, she'd have tears rolling down her face. I knew what she felt. The loneliness, the hopelessness. That feeling of having no one left who cares. My feelings for her grew stronger every day. And one night, after watching her cry from being abused again, I just reacted. I reached out to the mirror. The tip of my finger went straight through the glass. It took me by surprise. I yanked my hand back immediately and left. I kept thinking about it all night. I had so many questions. Why did my finger go through like that? Does that mean I could step through to the other side? But what would happen if I did? Would I ever come back? What if I got stuck there? And honestly, is there even anything worth coming back to here anyway? The next night, I didn't go to the mirror. I don't know. I just felt like I needed some space. I kept dreaming about her, about being there with her, protecting her. But when it started to feel real, it kind of freaked me out. When I went back to the mirror the next night, she was being treated worse than ever. She was crying, trying to shield herself, and something in me just snapped. I don't remember a whole lot, just the screaming, the chaos, the impacts, the blood. By the time I realized, I was standing in front of the mirror. My hands were shaking, covered in blood. I looked up, and she was there alone, sitting in her chair, smiling. It was the first time I saw her look at peace. After that night, we started to talk about our future. We were the same, two people broken by the ones who were supposed to love us. We understood each other. I finally felt connected to her. We'd spend hours by the mirror, talking about what happened and what comes next. How what I did was right, how they deserved it, how I'd saved her. And she said something else, something that stuck with me. She said my ex-wife and kids were the reason I'd never move on, that they were holding us back. And she's right. So here I am. I'm going to visit them today to let them go for good. And after that, I'll finally be with her. Forever.